Yuval Noah Harari is the best author of our generation, in my opinion. I'm definitely a little bit biased, but I feel like I have some decent evidence to support my bias, but I guess that's literally everyone when it comes to their biases. What Harari does better than any author that I've ever come across is he bridges the gap between lay people and historians, and he makes history exciting. The only other person I can think of in our generation who bridges that gap as well as he does is Dan Carlin, but because Dan Carlin isn't actually an author, he loses by default. In his 3 mass-produced books, Sapiens, Homo Deus, and 21 Rules for the 21st Century, Yuval Noah Harari takes a broad macro-scale view of Sapiens, where we came from, and how we got to today, which is a very interesting topic if it's presented in the correct way. There is no shortage of dry historians, and Yuval Noah Harari is not one of them, which is why he is so good. He's actually the first person that I've learned history from that has written and presented the information in such a compelling way that I couldn't put his books down. Now, because he's the first historian to really pique my interest, there is a strong primacy bias for me to enjoy his works rather than other historians, which is kind of similar to how most people bias the music that they listen to in their 20s and 30s, because that was when they were in their prime. That is when they were really starting to connect with music. And because it's the first music that they really listened to and connected with, they enjoy that and will refer to that as the best music of all time. His books are the first history books that I've read that I really enjoyed and connect with, and in large part I think that's why I consider him to be the best author of our generation. But outside of my bias, Sapiens and Homo Deus are masterpieces. Both of these books are extremely ambitious in their intent and the message that they aim to get across. In Sapiens, he takes us all the way from 2.5 million years ago at the birth of Sapiens into the agricultural revolution. He takes us into the scientific revolution, imperialism, capitalism, and the industrial revolution. It's absolutely mind-boggling the amount of material he's able to cover in this book alone. In Homo Deus, which is my favorite of the 2 books, he actually takes us forward in time. He explores the idea that technology is going to replace humanist ideals and liberal government. He explores the topics of religion, immortality, and technology through talking about things like CRISPR and taking our own evolution into our own hands. And then he delves into the idea that algorithms and artificial intelligence will ultimately run the world. In 21 Rules for the 21st Century, he takes a zoomed in look on where we are in our current predicaments living in the 21st century, and he gives you some pieces of advice that he feels will actually help you into the later decades of this century. It's pretty good as well, it just isn't what I would consider to be a masterpiece. Anyways, it's an absolute privilege that we get to actually listen to what this intellectual giant thinks about our past, our future, and our present predicaments. I hope that you give his books a chance if you haven't already. He is who I consider to be the best author of our generation. I cannot wait for him to put out more literature about the human experience and what it entails. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.